right, guys, we're back. This is part 2 of Fulton County fraud, voting fraud in Fulton County, because there has been an update, and we're going to stay on top of this. A judge out of Fulton County has cleared the way for the Georgia State Election Board to obtain Fulton County ballots and other documents from the 2020 election. So Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney last week, Friday, ruled that the election board is well within its authority to request the information it has sought for more than a year. He ordered the county to provide an itemized estimate of the cost of complying with subpoenas.
Good.
Well, I guess it begs the question, why wasn't that data? And here I come back again. I always like to be corrected under law. It was the big controversy of whether or not you had to certify on the exact date, regardless if you had all the vote tallies or not. Well, inside of that law, I'm not mistaken, it specifically says what information you need to certify a vote. And as long as you can show some type of extenuating circumstance, the same Judge McBurney, was the same one that put pressure on Julie Adams to say, no, you have to certify on this day. So why is it such damning evidence now?
Well, the other thing too, the whole judiciary and our system is concerned by what they call, quote, the appearance of an impropriety, unquote. And the idea that after all of this controversy is developed and a local agency is refusing to supply the documentation or the instruments in question to the state body that is charged with overseeing elections, raises a severe appearance, a severely negative appearance. And considering what we are now having suggested to us, which is there's almost an insidious conspiracy of mainstream news media to give false reports, and to not only give the reports, but to propagandize in an editorial fashion that anyone that disagreed with the Democratic Party's assertion that there was a fair, open, and a legitimate election that occurred is somehow possessed of something wrong with them. So I think we got a lot of going along to get along. I'm going to stay quiet. I'm not going to create a controversy. I catch that all the time from people. I'm sure you do, sir. So it's like that got overturned by the mega triumph last November. And people are beginning to figure out that, hey, it isn't just me. There are others besides me that don't think like I'm told to think by mainstream media.
Had enough, but he says he will comply with the judge's order. That's the reaction of Fulton County's commission chairman after a Superior Court judge ordered the county to turn over documents from the 2020 presidential election.
The court order presents a victory for the state election board, which has fought to get these records. Let's get out to Fox 5's Deidre Dukes at the state capitol, who talked to Chairman Rob Pitts today. Deidre?
And Chairman Pitts telling me that he can't believe we're heading into 2026 and we're still talking about the 2020 presidential election here in Georgia, specifically in Fulton County. And he says that the county will turn over the documents requested by the state election board, but he is adamant that Fulton County taxpayers won't pay for it.
This nonsense has to stop at some point.
2025 draws to a close with no end in sight to the prolonged legal challenges surrounding Fulton County's 2020 presidential election.
I assured the public then, I reassure the public today, those elections were open, fair, and transparent, and every vote was counted.
The Republican-led Georgia Election Board reopened an investigation into Fulton County's handling of the 2020 election last year. On Friday, they scored a victory in court. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney's decision grants the election board access to Fulton County's 2020 ballots and related documents.
This 2020 thing, it just goes on and on and on. And the fact of the matter is we have been in compliance from day one with every request that we've gotten that we are legally required to comply with.
Chairman Pitts says the county will comply with the judge's order, but is adamant Fulton taxpayers won't pay to produce the documents at an estimated cost of around $400,000.
It will be somebody else and not the taxpayers of Fulton County paying. When we get the check in, we will provide whatever documents they're looking for.
The judge ruled the election board must foot the bill. Numerous investigations have found no evidence of election fraud, but that hasn't deterred President Trump and his supporters who believe the 2020 presidential election was stolen.
I still don't understand the fascination with the 2020 elections. I've said time and time again, 2020 elections are over with. President Biden won. President Trump is in office now, so we cannot go back and have another 2020 election.
Now, the court has given the county until January 7th to provide an itemized account of how much this will actually cost, the document fees. At the same time, the court has said that the State Board of Election will have to cover those costs. At the state capitol, Deidre Dukes, Fox 5.
Well, here's an interesting tidbit towards that. Jan Johnson, when I went down to file my complaint with the state about the 2024 sheriff's election during public comment and open forum, she and Julie Adams came up to me at the end. Julie, first and foremost, apologized to me of how the Fulton County Board of Elections had treated my candidacy. I had adamantly said there, and I said it at the state board, I'm not going to be disrespected, especially as a person who's a veteran of the United States Air Force, has served this county in my capacity as a law enforcement officer. You think you're going to pull this foolishness with this falsified election? Hell no. Well, I say that is as Jan Johnson said to me that the clerk of court as well as the elections board director did not comply with sending them the 2024 election tabulations as requested, and was very adamant about not doing it. So what happened in 2020 very well is the same thing that trickled over into 2024. And I'll be the first to say it, and I'll say it, and I don't care if the Fulton County Board of Elections is sitting here. They're a very nasty and arrogant board. Very nasty and arrogant. Anybody that would, I've dealt with them for years with no problem up until this particular group, particular under this particular director. So at the end of the day, as the old lady said to me one time, with a warrant I came to pick up in her house, she said, something ain't clean in the milk on this one, baby.
Sheriff, let me say something. Doesn't this seem to be the same atmosphere, the same type of behavioral thing that we've been looking at with District Attorney Fannie Willis in these proceedings? It's this absolute arrogance and narcissistic thing that they are above the public and beyond reproach. And the other thing is, doesn't it also sound like a criminal who's saying, I don't see what you're interested in. This armed robbery occurred 10 years ago. Why don't you just let it go? No. Crime, wrongdoing must be dealt with. And
it's an arrogance that has seeped deep all across government, all the way across even to the Board of Commissioners, who, I mean, listen at Rob Pitts himself. We're not going to pay the fees. Well, the judge just told you you're going to pay the fees. You're going
and
to.
did you hear, by the way, the subtle thing with the reporter who at the very end announced something contrary to that would stay subconsciously with the listeners? He ordered the state board to pay the cost.
Right. And that's the whole key thing. A county commissioner is a local governing authority. They have no sway. They have no authority over the state board of elections. How the hell does he give orders and direction to the state board of elections? If he had that type of authority, he should give it to the board that he has control over, whom they finance, as well as who they choose to be on that board, and that's the Fulton County Board of Elections and Registration.
By the way, the issue is not whether Trump was deprived of votes. The issue is whether Biden got 320,000 extra votes he wasn't entitled to. That's what the issue is about. And if that is the case, or anything that is a significant percentage of that, he would have lost Georgia and the presidential election.
So
Go ahead, Dana, please.
yeah, so because you mentioned that the Board of Registration and Elections, you said like they're very arrogant and nasty.
Oh, very arrogant and nasty. I mean, if there's some of the Republican listeners that go down there, I wish I could have sent you the clip of when I made my testimony. They only gave me 10 minutes to state my case, and they said that they would bring me back after the results. Well, to this day, they still have not brought me back to present everything. And that's, go ahead.
I want to play this clip of the Board of Registration and Elections. And this was this past November, to where you had a committee.
Was that state or local?
This is county.
State or local?
County.
Oh,
Yeah.
county.
Yeah. And they're talking.
Local.
They're talking about the 2020 election, and this woman here was trying to shut her down. So let me play this clip.
That is a matter that's currently, Ms. Williams, do not answer. That is a matter that is currently, I believe, in litigation as well. And Ms. Adams, you well know that as well.
It is not in litigation.
If we are not
asking if we have the ballots from 2020. I'm a board member. Am allowed to ask a question about documents from 2020. Do we have
I believe that is
do we have the ballots?
As you've been told several times, the ballots are in the possession of the Clerk of Superior Court.
So she has physical.
They are physically in the Clerk of Superior Court warehouse and secured in that location.
Okay.
They've been there for 5 years.
The ballots and the records.
Correct.
From that election.
For the past 5 years, they have been in the Clerk of Superior Court possession.
Okay. I had been told actually earlier that they were in our warehouse.
Nobody told you that, and they're in the clerk.
Well, wait a minute. Let's not debate that. You asked the question. She did give the answer. And I think the public does know that this matter is before, I believe, in Fulton County Superior Court. This matter is sitting there right now. And I believe there will be a ruling soon. I mean, I'm presuming since it's been there.
Right. Well, I do want to go on the record that I think with this letter from the DOJ that we should comply. And just want to go on the record that I am not fighting it at all. I think that with all the questions, we need to comply. We need to get all of the questions stopped. If everything's right, they'll just say everything's right, and it'll be great. But I just want to be on the record that I'm not obstructing anything from the SEB or the Department of Justice.
All right.
You know something that this reminds me of? It was a case I had in front of me when I was on the Tennessee trial bench. And it was information that strongly implicated other individuals in a very, very violent crime. And the district attorney's office was just unalterably opposed to taking evidence on this. And it came up during a post-conviction relief proceeding. And my response was, excuse me, why are you so reluctant as the entity that's locally charged with investigating criminality to discover information that may implicate others in this particular crime, since the defendant in question never confessed? He entered an Alford plea. Why are you so just opposed to seeing who else was in there? So I ordered the courtroom cleared, doors locked, with the deputy standing by him. I had 5 in there, and I said, now we're going to get to the bottom of this on pain of contempt of court. What is going on here, and why is it that we have a situation where there is clear evidence of other criminality that is involved, that is of great interest to the public in terms of preserving public peace, dignity, and order, and you are unalterably opposed to this? What are you hiding? Why did you not offer it, or why did you not consider it? So what wound up happening is I gave them a few days to think about it, and they came back in and they removed their opposition. So we heard it, and several other people were implicated in the violent crime in question. So the thing here is, why is this board taking 5 years to do something that they should have been anxious to do on the front end in order to do their designated job function rather than trying to stonewall it? Why are they doing that?
And notice this, and Dana, me and you have not talked about this other than you said you had an update. I just stated to you about that the clerk of court and the elections board were, I can't say subpoenaed, but they were directed to bring all of the records for 2024 down to the elections board for view, and they refused. That was directly stated to me from Jan Johnson. So again, Jan Johnson is one of the top, Dr. Jan Johnson is one of the top Republican ranking members on the state elections board. So I take it back, and I take this back from a governmental perspective. Who is the Nebuchadnezzar hiding behind this? Because at the end of the day, you've got all of the sheriffs, the judges, the counselors, you got everybody on bended knee. That's what it says in Daniel 3rd chapter and 3rd verse, from a governmental perspective, in terms of not standing up for this criminal justice system, but bow down so their faces cannot be seen.
Hey, man, that's a very good way of putting it.
So
What is going on? See, it stinks. Anybody that's not just totally bigoted and biased in favor of one party, whatever they do, in other words, do or die. I'm one of those diehard fans of this party. I don't care what they do. It strikes me that any citizen would be interested in ferreting out the truth of the matter. But you see, we've had 5 years of propaganda that has percolated down through the conscious and subconscious minds of many people that somehow or another questioning this calls into question your integrity. Something's wrong with you that you do because you did not accept what you were given, which is what totalitarian regimes rely upon to do their dirty work. So why is the American public these days so susceptible to manipulation? Oh, wow. What is this communications industry we've had? What is the entertainment industry? What is the news industry? What have they become but mechanisms to perpetrate a particular point of view, an ideology, a theology, whatever it may be, at all costs, by any means necessary? And that is not what we have the First Amendment for. It's something that can occur as collateral damage, but it's not the intent. It's horrendous.
Let me add to that last point, Dana. Let me throw this in, is that I'm not new to this in terms of just in politics, running for office and office of sheriff. I actually was chosen to be a precinct captain by the Fulton County Board of Elections in the early 2000s when they first brought on the new voting electronic machines. I was trained in terms of how they were set up, how to dismantle them in the event that something went wrong. I didn't have just one precinct. I was in charge of everything from Northwest Atlanta all the way down to South Fulton. So that, and understanding how the tabulations work, making sure that the ballots and the machines were properly transported over to the hub, not the one down here off of South Fulton Parkway, but it was over there off of, I can't say Stewart Avenue. Nonetheless, over in Southwest Atlanta. So you can't pull the wool over my eyes. And I think that's more or less what they were afraid of with me bringing up my anti-litem notices, is that I knew how that particular system worked.
I want to play this clip here. This is actually, it's 24 seconds. It says this 2020 clip of a Fulton County election worker testifying under oath that she observed 100% of military absentee ballots go to Biden is now resurfacing amid new revelations over 300,000 ballots were illegally counted in Fulton County.
I estimated that somewhere between 80 and 90% were going to Joe Biden. Throughout the day, it kept making me sicker and sicker every time I saw another Biden, and then I'm going through batches, 100% of the batches were Biden. I find that statistically impossible.
I find it statistically impossible that the current sheriff won by 100% of the ballots when he had a known candidate. I wasn't no novice. I wasn't somebody I just decided to run a different way. Yet the Fulton County Board of Elections gave him a 100% tabulation, and now you've got to do open records in order to find it. There's nowhere on Fulton County's website to show where it's broken down precinct by precinct.
I want to ask this one last question. What happens next? And well, actually, two-part question. What happens next? And when we're talking about the 2020 ballots, 300,000, there were other candidates locally and federally on those ballots, correct? So again, wouldn't those elections, because I believe wasn't that DA Fannie Willis on that ballot as well?
That's correct.
Wouldn't those ballot counts or that election for the other candidates for the other positions be in question as well? So with that, what happens next?
Judge, I'll render it to you.
Okay, under American law, the milk has been spilt, the cow escaped from the barn. It's done, it's done. It's too late to do anything about the last election because there is no last several elections because there's no way to undo history. We don't have H.G. Wells in our employ who can cook up a handy time machine. So what it is it becomes a lesson for the future so that we can make the necessary adjustments so it does not happen again. And if there is any criminal wrongdoing, which looks to be the case, then people need to be brought to justice. Indictments need to be returned and prosecution should occur. Now, the Democratic Party has been hollering about prosecuting anyone who just disagreed with what seems to be their lies, their prevarications and misrepresentations. So sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. So let's give them a taste of their own medicine. They need to suffer the consequences so that the public does not think that these things can be done without consequence. Now, just FYI, not long ago, they had at a computer fair the samples of the Shelby County election machines that had been used for 24 years after having been declared to be too easily hacked. They had a representative of those machines, several, and it took some hackers 3 to 5 minutes to hack them to the extent where they could control the whole system of election in Shelby County. It was so bad that 2008, the U.S. Department of Defense put up the money to replace all the machines from confiscated drug money, and every quarter was issuing a report about it, but yet nothing was done until not long ago. So I was somebody's poll watcher, or not poll watcher, election official on behalf of a congressional candidate, I witnessed two people vote at least twice. I was at the election commission on election night, November 24th, and they were frantic because they had had a significantly higher number of votes at various precincts than they had people who signed in to vote at those precincts. So they were trying to figure out what to do. So their solution was just count all of them because we don't know which ones are supposed to be disregarded. There's no way of auditing them. So that kind of thing is a disservice to the public, and it means that some cabal, cadre, or whatever it is selects who's going to run things rather than the people.
And to your point, two things, and this is my ending is that Dana, if you could, or just wait until it comes out, I guarantee you it's going to go back to when someone broke into the Fulton County Elections Board warehouse and had, I don't want to say tampered, but whatever reason they broke in, and there was some scandal around the votes that were in boxes or what have you. But most important, here's where it's going to get messy, and it's going to have less to do with with the Republicans. Watch where I'm going with this. Chairman Pitts, Marvin Arrington, as well as Dana Barrett. I'm even hearing some wind that the young lady who just got elected as commissioner, can't get her name right off the bat, all of them are now making the elections issue on the Democrat side about election security. Election security. So wait a minute. If election security was so tight, why are you all staunchly defending it and now running against each other? It's going to be a very hot, tight, and messy chairman's election that's coming up this coming year.